Okay. Oh, hold on. Maybe we'll thwack Esra from A to the Z. Temiko. Konbanwa. Typical starter questions. How's the sound? Seems really crazily sensitive to me, but let me know what you think. So where am I hearing from that? Ah. Alright. People are telling me sound is good. Good. Lisa, Will, August, Jordan, Jordan in Japan. Where in Japan are you? If you'd like to share. I've got Godzilla for you tonight. Get you. So, I'm not going to drink out of it though. Just the top. It's gonna entertain us tonight. So we'll leave him over there, I guess. All right, I'm gonna try to stay on comments. As you can see, the one-day mustache. This is when I shave. I kind of leave the mustache for one day because I know it looks really bad, but it's just fun to have for a day. And then I'll shave tomorrow morning and be clean-shaven boy. Oh, you're in Mie. All right, cool. One of my good students, Shiho, that's been in some of the videos, went to one of the big universities in Mie. So she met up with me in Nagoya one time. I don't know if I've been to Gifu, because Nagoya is in Aichi. I don't know if I've been to Gifu yet. Bianca, you're in Shimonoseki. Okay, so this is testing my Japan knowledge. Shimonoseki is in Shikoku? I don't know. The smallest island of the four main islands that make up Japan, if you don't count Okinawa. Yeah, the mustache. I long ago, I used to have a girlfriend, and she hated the mustache. So I almost did it like just to torture her, like be nice to me or I won't shave it. And of course, she had the best thing was if you don't shave it, you might as well not even come in the bed. So it got shaved the next day always. Naruto. Naruto Kyoins 600. Nagoya is practically okay. Yeah, I've been there. Thwack is in Fukuoka. God, I can't talk tonight. I think I need to turn my aircon off a little bit. Um, Fukuoka is a lovely town. So you guys are all in Japan around 11 o'clock, staying up late on a Saturday night. Thank you for joining. It's great. 21 people, 4 thumbs up. Excellent. More people that know about it via your Twitter, etc. The more people will come by. I should put it on mine. I have my K-tie. Do it. My wife went to Mia Uni. Yeah, I think Shiho liked it. And it was certainly better than, Shimane. Getting out of Shimane. Recommend things to do in Nagoya. Well, Lisa, what are some good things to do? I went there, I think, as you know, specifically to see sumo. So I had a specific, and I met Victor. So he took me around and showed me places, and I was only there 2 days. So it was a cool little town, though. For me, being from the Naka, it was like, I'm gonna try taking these off. Okay. Now, do you guys hear like reverb? Do you hear? Why am I still hearing myself? That's what's weird. Can you hear me at all? It must be something to do with the Wirecast. Okay. I don't know how to fix that, so I guess I'm not going to mess with it. It's like I'm getting like a 1 second delay if I wear these. You know, so it's a little bit better now, but I still am hearing myself, which is kind of weird. Oh, now it's with reverb. All right, well I'll put them back in then. If it's better with them in, I'll wear them. Okay, back to that audio. That's true. I guess I could just turn down my headphones. I don't know if that affects the output. Still learning this, guys. Still learning. But we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. So, Mibu, if you're hearing white noise throughout the live stream so far, yeah, so am I kind of. And I didn't have this problem last time. But I'm pretty sure I wore these last time. Anyway, Nagoya. I usually go there just to see movies. Yeah, they have a few nice movie theaters. I saw Spider-Man 2 there or something. There's a lot of large shopping malls. There's some like Outback Steakhouse and those kind of restaurants, some Western restaurants. Um, hey Ryan from Singapore, what's up, man? Uh, Nicholas from Georgia. Georgia. What's up, Nicholas? Good morning, man. Yeah, it's what? Gosh, 8 a.m. for you. So have an orange juice, have a bagel. Wish I could. What was I going to look up on my phone? Oh, I was going to tweet out that I'm doing this. Here we go. Tweet, tweet. All right, you guys are watching me do a tweet. Scintillating television. Amoeba Wolf says, yes, you wore earphones last live stream. I thought I did. So, you had the white noise when I took the headphones off. Okay, so now the white noise is better. Amoeba Wolf saying, okay, all right, well, good. No, I mean, if you're going to listen to me for an hour, it should be something you want to listen to. And I'm not getting as much reverb from me. Chris asks, have I seen Guardians of the Galaxy yet? No, it doesn't open here until September 13th. I can tell you specifically. Let me just do this tweet, Chris, and then I'll finish that thought. I am live on my YouTube. Come on now. Channel. Right now. Until about 1 a.m. Japan time. Tweet. All right. Yeah, I did actually. Thwack. I muted the YouTube. I'm watching Wirecast, which is live, and then I'm watching YouTube, which is a delay, but it gives me the comments. And I've got them muted, and I've muted the sound from my thing, and that's helped with the headphones. You were right. So as long as the microphone is working and picking up and doing its job, then we're all good. Anyway, so I haven't seen Guardians yet. It doesn't open until about September 13th here, mid-September. But, I think you guys know I'm going home in about a week, next Friday. So it should still be playing, hopefully, in theaters in America. Cheers. Royal milk tea, kampai. And it's not a Hitler stash. It's got sides. You just can't see it because the lighting is so bad in here. But yeah, it is going to make like a dark thing. I'm sure the screen capture will be terrible. Lysander. What are we going to do with you, man? Guardians of the Galaxy. Totally. That and Planet of the Apes are the two biggest ones I hopefully will still be playing when I get back to America. I'll have some free time the very first couple days I'm back, getting over jet lag, and then I actually start work at a company on Monday, 2 days after I get back. So then I won't have as much free time. Well, I'll have free time in the evenings, I guess. But yeah, since those won't be the popular movies, I doubt I'm going to pay money for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's just gotten so savaged. But, if I'm going to go see it on a big screen, better to pay, maybe $8 in America than $18 here in Japan. But we'll see. That might be just a wait for video movie. What else? Oh, Expendables 3 opens. And I just rented Expendables 2. So, I don't think I ever saw 2. I don't know that I necessarily want to see 3, but I don't know if anything actually opens while I'm there that I'm really excited about. I'd have to have a look at some of the upcoming releases. But yeah, I really want to see Guardians though, so that's a definite the minute I'm back type of thing. Lisa, if I could travel an hour or two to go to a TGI Fridays, I would probably do it at least once or twice a month. Meet some friends up there or something, That would be a total treat for me. I can't get anything in about 2 hours I can be in Hiroshima City. But Hiroshima doesn't have any of those big chains. It has some good food. and there's places I like to go when I'm there, but it doesn't have any like American places. I remember when I went to Tokyo, when Jet took me out to Tokyo to share my opinion, and they flew me out there on their dime and stuff. Um, I was just walking around and I found a Tower Records and a TGI Fridays. I think I spent like $50 at that TGI Fridays on like uh, sub sandwich, like a cheesesteak sandwich with French fries and like Coke and a dessert, and oh, I just thought I was in heaven. Um, what are my plans while I'm back in the States? Videos, maybe. I can't think of anything too revolutionary. Sumo's going to start while I'm back there, so I'll probably have to pop a few things up on my sumo channel. But I won't actually be taping sumo matches. I'll be too busy, and I won't have I won't pay for the channel. What else? I've taped a little bit of Southern California before. If I do anything really fun, like if I go to Disneyland or something, sure. But day in, day out, I don't know. Um, Temiko, are you moving back permanently? No, just summer vacation. Temiko, I get almost 2 full months because I'm not a full time professor. I don't really have to like be around or account for my time in the summers. If I'm not teaching, I'm not getting paid, so there's no reason for me to be around. Um, so as soon as I put my grades in until class starts again in the fall semester, I'm basically it's my vacation. Normally, I would have probably already been in America by now and maybe enjoy 5 to almost 6 weeks back in America. But the way the flights were this time, I just couldn't book a flight for more than a month without it really being a lot more expensive. Like anytime I added extra time to outside of a month to the itinerary, it added like $500 to the cost of my flight. So I said, well, I'll save the $500 and spend an extra week just hanging out in Japan before I go back. So I probably would have left this week and be in America right now in a typical summer, but I've got like one more week to go. So Ahmed Zombia, hello world. What's up, man? 25 watching, 11 thumbs up. You guys are cool. Chris, actually though, you asked me, have I seen Guardians? Have you seen it yet? Don't obviously, no spoilers or anything, but you can say a simple, yeah, it was good, or yeah, it was okay, or no, I didn't like it, or haven't seen it yet. I've heard the soundtrack is doing really well. Like, it's all this, old classic music that just, I guess, integrates with the film well or something. Um, and it's like the #1 album on iTunes or something, so that's cool. I like it when people use music well. That's one thing I've always liked about Tarantino. Is he's always incorporated music into his films well, and some of the signature moments in his films are very linked to certain songs. And even in something anachronistic, like he would do something like in Django or something. It still seems to work for him. Oh, Cheetos. Liza, yeah, I love Cheetos. And, they sell them here in Japan, but they're not the same. Just a word of warning. Every now and then you'll go to a store and it'll say like Doritos or Cheetos, but they've adjusted the taste for Japanese taste buds, and they're not the same. The Cheetos here are kind of like more bland and a little more sweet. They're just not kind of as, I don't know. There's just something about Cheetos in America, especially crunchy Cheetos. I love Cheetos. I've never gotten into the flaming hot ones, but yeah, Diet Coke. Isn't it weird that they don't have Diet Coke here? So, are you saying that Diet Coke, Liza, doesn't doesn't taste the same as Coke Zero? Though I'm surprised. I would think those are basically the same thing, just called different. I assume they were, but you can enlighten me, because believe me, I mean, I know all about how Pepsi does not taste the same as Pepsi Next, and Coke doesn't taste the same as Pepsi, and Dr Pepper doesn't taste the same as Coke. I'm a connoisseur as you are, but I thought that Coke Zero was analogous to Diet Coke. Um, but certainly, I don't know where you are, Lizy. I think you just told me you're up near Nagoya, so maybe there's no Costco near you. Yeah. I bet you Costco has Diet Coke. And you can certainly get it on like Foreign Buyers Club or uh, there's a couple, like mail order places that you can like buy goods and have them shipped to your house. La, 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 la. Ahmed, since you're a fan of sci-fi and comics, what do you think of the film adaptation of Watchmen? I personally loved it. Yes, Ahmed, that is one of my all-time favorite comics, Watchmen. Um, I got into comics actually. I never read comics when I was a kid, oddly enough. American comics. I read comic strips when I was a kid. I was a huge fan of like Peanuts, of course, Calvin and Hobbes, Bloom County, all that type of stuff. And I had British parents. I have British parents. So I would get these books sent from England of like British comic strips like Beano and things I can't remember now, Rupert and things in these like hardback annuals, and I love that. But for some reason, I just never read Spider-Man or Batman comics or anything. I didn't have an older brother, maybe to give them to me or have them around, and I just never got into them. And so I didn't get into comics until I was almost in college, like in my senior year in high school. I started to get into comics, and Watchmen was just happening when I started. Watchmen was happening. Dark Knight, Sandman had just started. I got into comics at a really good time, and I thought he pulled it off. I thought the movie was a really good adaptation. Um, I thought the casting was good. Uh, some of the scenes are just fantastic. The choices he made with the ending didn't bother me. I've seen the longer cut with the animated segments in it for the black ship or the pirate ship or whatever. I think it just works. I like that movie. I bought a really nice version of it on DVD, but I haven't bought it on Blu-ray. So yeah, you do find Reese's every now and then in Japan. It's really weird. My friend just moved from our area. He quit being, his 5 years of jet were up, and he got a new job in. Well, the town is called Matsumoto. Where's Niigata? I think is the prefecture. And he said he went into a store and they had Reese's peanut butter cups just sitting there on the shelf. So yeah, those are typically Reese's is one of the things I bring back. Um, uh, Sweet tarts. I love sweet tarts. You can't get those. If I can find bottle caps, oh, I love bottle caps. But even in America, those are getting hard to find now. Oh, really? So Diet Coke doesn't taste like Coke Zero. I wonder what the difference is. Now, Diet Coke isn't zero, right? Maybe that's the difference. Diet Coke has like 1 calorie or something, right? So maybe they use a different artificial sweetener or something. Hmm. Lee's saying that Coke Zero tastes way different. Yeah, well, I don't doubt it. Maybe it does. But yeah, I mean, that's completely easy to get. That's everywhere. Every vending machine, regular Coke and Coke Zero right next to each other. I wish they just had regular Pepsi, but it's always Pepsi Damn next. So, Kuroneko's cool delivery service. That's awesome. Okay, Chris says, so I'm getting caught up now. I have indeed, seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Was their opening weekend here in the UK? Um, Star Wars and Firefly had a baby. That's high praise, my friend. That is high praise. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've just heard so many good things. I watch a guy, escapistmag.org, escapistmag.com, called The Big Picture, and what's his movie? Oh God, Escape to the Movies. I think is his movie review. Movie Bob is his name, and he loved it. And a couple other people I respect their opinion have just had good things to say. So I know I'm gonna dig it. And if it's really good, I'll get to see it again when I come back to Japan. It will have just opened here by about a week, so I can go and see it again. Super Dungeon Boy likes Coke Zero better, so Coke Zero is getting some positive reviews here. I tried one the other day. It was funny. I went up to a vending machine and I hadn't had caffeine all day, and that's one of the major reasons I drink Coke. Is it's my little jolt of caffeine. I don't drink coffee and I don't drink tea for the most part. Um, so I needed some caffeine. I knew that it had been like all day no caffeine, and I went up to the vending machine, the only one I was gonna really have a chance to stop at, and they were actually out of Coke. Like I put my 160 yen in, and the little light came on that said, "Oh no, Coke sold out." So I said, "Fuck it, I will buy a Coke Zero," because I'm pretty sure Coke Zero, even though it has no calories, still has caffeine. Because there's some other something that's like no caffeine and no calories. That's called something else. And I took about 3 sips of it, and I didn't drink any more of it after that. I just can't. Just that aftertaste or whatever it is, I just can't do it. So yeah, I wish I could. It would solve a lot of my problems. Lysander, funny man. Yeah, I've heard about Coke Lemon. It hasn't trickled out to my area of Japan yet. I'd give that a shot. I don't mind lemon flavored things. It's just as long as you don't, you know, Japanese people they'd be like, "What do you like to drink?" And I would say Pepsi, for instance, and then they'd have a bottle of Pepsi Twist, which was Pepsi with lemon. If I come over to their house or something, of course I drink it and be polite, but I'm like, it's not the same. It's not the same beverage. But at least it wasn't diet. It's when they come out with the diet um, that I just go, oh, Coke Zero has another ingredient. Yeah, Beano comics are rad. I wish I could read some more Beano comics. I used to love them when I was a kid. Yeah, if it's aspartame or aspartame or however that I know Timiko, I don't know how to spell it either. That's the one I think that was in that gum that totally like made my taste buds go wonky for about a week. So I stick away from that stuff nowadays. So, all right. Naruto asks the sumo question. Yay, sumo. Okay. What do you think about Osuna Arashi's 2014 Nagoya tournament? And is he going to go down a lot for not getting the 8 wins? And also, what do you think about Endo? I don't think he's going to go down hardly at all. In fact, because he got 7. He went 7-8. The problem, the sad thing there is he missed out on 2 big opportunities. He could have gotten a special prize, which is nice to get, and a lot of money. And he would have certainly, if he'd gotten the 8 wins, he probably would have been promoted all the way up to Sanyaku and be a Komusubi in in September. But that didn't happen, so I feel really bad for him. But if you follow his Facebook page, he's not down about it. He's a really positive up guy, and that's one of the things I like about him. And he realizes it's a life lesson and it's something to learn from. And he's going to come back strong. He hopes in September, and you know, they threw him up against a bunch of big guys, and he beat 2 Yokozuna. I mean, that's just so amazing, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do in September. I think they'll keep him about where he was. I think he was at Maegashira 5. My guess is he'll be at either Maegashira 5 or Maegashira 6. I mean, I can't imagine it'd be any more than that. Endo, Endo's got a lot of people's hopes riding on him, but he hasn't. They really need to start to rein that back in a little bit. Let's wait until he gets up into the Sanyaku ranks. Then, you can start to be like, okay, is he really gonna, do it and get all the way up to Ozeki, say within a year? He hasn't proven himself to be one of these Koto Oshu, Baruto, one of these guys that just, plows through the division and just is an Ozeki before you know it. He's certainly not wrestling well enough now, I think, to consistently take on Haruma Fuji, Hakuho, Kiseno Sato, etc. So But he's entertaining. I like him. He seems to be taking it well. I mean, it's a lot of attention thrust his way. He's a young guy. So, good luck to him. I enjoy watching his bouts. All right, Ahmed says, talking about movies, am I the only one that hated the first Thor movie? Love the second one. Really? So you went to see the second one even though you hated the first one? That's an interesting, like, psychological thing. It's kind of like with me. Like, I didn't particularly like Expendables 1. I don't think I even saw the second one. But here I am kind of thinking, well, maybe I should watch the second one and get ready for the third one. And I'm like, why? For me, it's because I have such limited choices. It's like there's so few American movies to watch in Japan on the big screen that I kind of try to, like, give a shot to each one that comes along because it's something to go see. But if you've got a lot of choices, it's interesting that you didn't really like the first one, but you still saw the second one. I am not a huge fan of the Thor movies. I think they're the lowest, not the lowest, that's the wrong way to put it, the least entertaining of all the Marvel offshoot movies so far. I think the Captain America movies are way better. The Avengers movies, the Iron Man movies, they're all way better than the Thor movies. He's just a weird character to then have him be interacting. It's such a different tone, those movies, and I've never been a fan of the comics or, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I think they cast it as well as they could. I've seen both of the movies, and I thought they were okay. I didn't buy them on Blu-ray. I probably won't watch them again. But they were both good. I mean, Loki, the guy that plays Loki, really has a fun time, and he's very good. And I liked Thor in the Avengers. I mean, I think he has his place, but if they don't make a third Thor movie, I won't lose sleep. You know. Ba-bum-bum-bum. Ba-bum-bum-bum. Were you affected by the recent typhoon? I didn't see much of it here. No, we got almost none of it. Actually, last night in my area, and I guess I saw Busan Kevin, who's over in Kobe, was tweeting about it too. Huge thunderstorm. I mean, one of the biggest ones ever in the 9 years I've lived in Japan. Definitely in the 4 years I've lived in this area. And just, really crisp, bright, felt very close by crackles of lightning, followed closely by very loud, like rattle the windows, knock things off shelves, booms of thunder, when really heavy rain for about 3 hours last night. So maybe that was our bit of it, but the actual typhoon that blew through didn't come over near me at all. So yeah, but it did do some serious damage. They delayed the big high school tournament because of it, and like my poor supervisor, or the head of the English department at my university, had planned this whole trip with her family, her two daughters and her husband, to drive to an area and see some shrines, and just take a vacation and eat some regional foods and enjoy Japan. And she canceled the whole thing because, like, it was the part that was like right in the eye of the typhoon or whatever, and she, I don't know if she's gonna do something else instead. But yeah, it was. I felt really bad for her because she doesn't take a lot of vacation. Typical Japanese person, she doesn't take a lot of vacations, and and this was only going to be like 3 or 4 days. Were you a sumo fan before living in Japan? Chris asked. No, I don't think I'd heard of sumo, and I'd seen stupid stuff. How they do it, like in the Charlie's Angels movie, where they dress up in the suits and stuff. But I knew nothing about it. I had heard some of the big names. I think I'd probably heard the name Akebono before, but I knew zero. And I've told this story many times. It was just because on your television remote, when you live in Japan, there's a button that you can click on that will change the Japanese that's being spoken on screen into English for things like the news or certain documentaries. And one of the things that you can do it is English Premier League soccer is a big one. You can watch the real feed of the English guys talking, or you can watch it in Japanese. Major League Baseball, you can listen to the American guys, or again, Japanese commentators, and sumo. For some reason, I think it's NHK World, they hire a bunch of people, different people. They trade off because it's 15 days, and they commentate the sumo for 2 hours every day from 4 to 6 o'clock. So every day when I would come home from my job at my junior high school, back when I was an ALT, I'd get home probably 4:30, on a regular day, and I could watch, 90 minutes of something in English, just to hear English, you know. Um, and so I got into sumo that way, just by watching to watch something, and fell in love with it. I think it's awesome. All right, Jolt soda. I remember Jolt Cola. That's from like back in my college days. It's just like Mountain Dew, but even more. It's like double the caffeine of Coke or triple the caffeine of Coke or something. Um, yeah. Well, you finally had your British guy win Wimbledon, so that was nice. I was really happy that that finally happened. But yeah, Tim Henman, man, poor guy, so close. Um, and I mean, when you think about it, the other one has got to be it's what 1966 was the last time the British, the UK, no, not UK, the English, I should say, the English national soccer team was in the World Cup final, and I think they won, right? That was the year they hosted, and I don't think they've been in the final match, let alone been like really in it. But been in the won it, but even been in the final match or in the final four in like 40 years. I mean, and it's like when you think of soccer or football, you think, wow, that's England. That's where it came from, and they just have not on the big stage. They just haven't performed. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I mean, we've got some great movies coming up. We've got a great the trailer for it looks amazing. The new Mad Max movie. I'm a huge Road Warrior fan. Um, that trailer looks awesome next year. Of course, the new Star Wars movie. The third Hobbit movie is coming up, which should be great. Trailer for that looks awesome. We've got the Superman Batman movie. We've got what Captain America 3, I think. Avengers 2. I mean, we've got some really good stuff coming down. So, see, Chris, I don't know why I guess some people don't like Captain America 1 because it's maybe a period piece or something, but Captain America 1 is so true to the character, and so it's a movie I really love, and it's another comic book movie, and it's very similar in feel, is The Rocketeer. And The Rocketeer is very specific. It's got a very specific time that it takes place in, and very specific good versus evil type of dynamic. But it's so well done and so perfect to the comic that I love that movie. And I think Captain America 1 is also like that. Um, it's an anomaly as it's outside of the regular, modern day Marvel universe. But I thought that they just handled it so well, and it's everything you would want from a Captain America movie. I mean, perfectly cast, and I don't know. I've gone back and watched. For some reason I never bought it, but I might because I'm gonna buy Captain America 2 because it was so good. I've gone back and I've watched it a couple times now, and I just think it's kind of underrated almost in a weird way. And because it's not as flashy as Iron Man, and Iron Man was the big guy and everything, but yeah, I think that's Captain America 1 surprised me how much I liked it. Whatever happened to Spawn? So I read somewhere that Todd is trying to get another Spawn movie made, but true to the character and the comic, like make it R-rated and have it be, a story that he wrote from the comics, etc., and not be so cartoony. But yeah, does anybody care anymore? I mean, I know Kirkman, who writes The Walking Dead, right? The comic book The Walking Dead, and is a big part of Image Comics now because that's such one of their huge moneymakers now. Said, okay, Todd, you want to do a comic again? Let's do this thing called The Haunt, and you do the covers, and somebody else will do the interiors, and I'll write it, and together it should be a big deal. And I read a few of them, and it was all right, but I don't think it's gone anywhere. I don't think it's a popular comic still. Um, Spawn got to about issue 100 and was still fairly popular. I'm sure it went beyond that, but I mean, it you know, it's a footnote in history, really, when you think about it. I mean, it's important because of what it did at the time in 1992 when Image split off from Marvel. But 10, 15 years from now, Spawn comics are going to be worth, you know, a dime. I mean, just nothing. They might be kind of fun to read. I mean, the art in some of them, especially the ones that Todd drew, is amazing. He's an amazing artist. So, yeah, yeah. Well, that Fukuoka Thunder and Lightning that you had 2 nights ago probably moved up to where I am and hit me last night. So, ah, Ahmed, but you're not supposed to laugh. That's him proving with the grenade. That's him proving that he's the good guy. Like, I mean, some guys would do that. You know, I don't know that I would. Some guys would be like, "Oh my God, there's a grenade! I'm going to sacrifice myself and fall on it and save everyone." And other people would run for cover and save themselves. And that's the whole part of being Captain America is he's willing to risk himself for to save others. So I mean, that's an important scene. So, oh boy, Ahmed, I don't know, man. We're starting to diverge here. Sunshine is just, oh, it's like paint drying. It's like so slow and it's just ponderous, and oh, it was horrible. I hated that movie. And I love Danny Boyle. I mean, Train Spotting and Slumdog Millionaire and some of his other films are great, great movies. I loved his very first movie, the one where they steal the money and they're in the apartment, and it's Ewan McGregor, and can't think of the title now off the top of my head. Soundtrack to Sunshine, I can't really remember. I know it's a whole reason Sunshine, got some traction here. It was because it had a Japanese actor in it. Um, but boy, was that not a good movie. Gotta disagree with you there, my friend. Ah, the new Sin City, Liza. Very nice. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, that is the day I land. When you go to America from Japan because of the international date line, you end up like landing the same day you left, like almost the same time, even though I've been traveling for like 18 hours. So I won't see it on Friday the 22nd because I'll just be jet lagged out of my ass. But I definitely, yeah, that'll be a big one for me. I can't believe how long it's been since the first Sin City. Um, I think the first Sin City was like 2006 or something. It was like a long time ago now. It feels like it was only 2 or 3 years ago, but it wasn't. Definitely will be seeing that. Yeah. Say what you will, and I mean I saw The Spirit and it was terrible. But I am a Frank Miller fan until the day I die, and the Sin City books in particular. And it's just such good material that I bet you the movie ends up being good. Yeah. Spawn, I got them all, Super Dungeon Boy. You've got them all? Damn, how many are there? I know it went past 100. And my guess is it probably went up to around it is canceled now, right? I mean it doesn't they don't still make Spawn comics, do they? Super Dungeon Boy. I mean obviously I don't go to the comic book store anymore, so but la, 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 la. Oh, Christian, yeah. But I mean, part of the thing isn't doesn't Blonsky become this kind of monster character? I mean, they had to keep, you know, Steve Rogers still has to be like a regular guy in the sense that he's tall and muscular and everything, but underneath, just like Superman, he looks, like a really buff, normal dude, but obviously he's underneath. He's got powers way beyond mortal men. So, uh, hmm, I don't know. I think they've cast him well though, and I think the way they play off, like oh he gets that reference and he's catching up to modern day and stuff like that, I think is fun in the Avengers, and I think they've positioned him really well. And I mean, they've got to have that kind of moral, conscious character who's like, to offset, say, Tony, Iron Man, who, will do whatever it takes kind of thing, to get the job done. Doesn't have that kind of moral underpinning of, well, we can't do it that way because that's wrong. So. Ahmed's just now gonna throw movies at me like, "Hey Frederick, what's up, man?" Uh, uh, Frederick, you're in Germany, Finland, somewhere in Europe, so it's kind of the afternoon for you. Yeah, I remember when Spawn hit 100. I mean, obviously Todd had really had very little to do with the book by then. I worked in a comic book store, around the time of X-Men #1 by Jim Lee and, the Amazing Spider-Man run that became Spider-Man by Todd, and then how they all left, and Valiant, and the death of Superman. For about 2 years, I worked at a comic book store during that whole time, 92, 93, 94. And it was a really interesting time to work in the industry. And being from San Diego, I went to Comic-Con every year for many, many years until about 2003, which is when I moved to Japan the next year. So yeah, I mean, uh, you know, I have a lot of respect for Todd, but Spawn was just never my book. Zurich, Switzerland. That's it. Sorry, Fred. Didn't mean to imply that you were German or Finnish. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Choo choo chi. You're not late. Anytime is a good time. We've got 33 watching, 18 thumbs up. Thank you very much. Um, we haven't really talked a lot about Japan. We've been talking a lot about movies. So it's whatever you want to talk about. And maybe I've been boring some people to death. Talk about superhero comic books, and other people were talking about sumo, or like, really? So this is what I bought for omiyage to give to my friends when I go back to America soon. Let's see if I can get it up close there. It's called Black. Can you read that katakana? Black Thunder. um, and it's kind of a chocolate bar with like a cookie inside, almost like a Twix. You know Twix? And I bought a box of 20, and they're like 30 cents each. Because I usually bring Pocky and stuff like that, and they really enjoy it. But I figured I'd bring something different. My only fear is that, this is like a lot of chocolate. It's all covered in chocolate, and that it will kind of melt in my luggage. I don't think San Diego, it's that warm right now, but, I've got to get the bags to the airport here in Japan. So, yeah, I don't know what else. Somebody emailed me and said, "Oh, you're coming back? My daughter's really into Attack on Titan. Can you get her this, this, and this?" So now when I'm going shopping tomorrow with some friends, so I'm like, now I've got to go into stores and be like, "Do you have any Attack on Titan goods?" And feel like such an otaku for like, an afternoon. Okay, well, do you have any bracelets? I'm buying this for like a 16-year-old girl who's just totally into this anime, and I am so not into this stuff. And she gave me some other titles that I'd never heard of, so I think I'm just going to try to find some Attack on Titan stuff because that is really hugely popular. Um, and shouldn't be that hard to find. All right, let me just have a bit of a drink here. How many people live in Switzerland, Fred? I mean, is it? It feels like a really small country. I'm just wondering if it's like less than 5 million, or is the population density fairly big? Yeah, I Super Dungeon Boy. I did like the Spawn cartoon, which, like you say, is it was R-rated, and they kind of took it more from the comic, and it was much more in the spirit of the comic, and yeah, I did like the cartoon. I mean, a typical or a poster boy for a character that just works sometimes in the comics really well. And I mean, you have to realize that he's like like an insane person is the Punisher. The Punisher is a guy who goes around and shoot people. But certain writers, like the guy who wrote Preacher, Garth, not Garth Morrison, Garth Ennis, and other people have written some really good runs of the Punisher. I've just never been able to get that character to work in a movie. And it's just a shame, whether it's the actor is not right or the tone's not right, or, it's just hard to make you root for an anti-hero, whereas in a comic you can establish the reason he's sympathetic over, the span of many issues while still giving the action stuff that most comic book people want. And in a movie, it's just harder to do that in 2 hours. And so, yeah, he's just someone that's just never worked. Well, it's like Daredevil. The first time I didn't hate the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. I'll admit. I was one of the few people that said, "Hey, that was pretty good. I kind of like that." They're gonna make a new one, or they're gonna make a Daredevil TV show or something, and I'm gonna be totally there. I love that character, but it's hard to translate it. I think, especially him being blind, and how do you visualize that on the screen, etc., etc. So, um, Ahmed, I think I'm with you. I don't mind Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I think he brings something to it that's his own. But I'm, maybe because they're the first ones, etc. But yeah, I love Spider-Man 2, the one with Doc Ock, is one of my all-time, is probably in my top 3 comic book movies of all time. I love that movie, and the first one is really good too. So yeah, I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. The newer ones, yeah, they just have so many plot problems and other things wrong with them that even though I think, I love the girl that played Gwen, and I like Andrew Garfield actually, the rest of the movie around them is, so the one day mustache, Chuchuy, thank you. No Hitler references, please. So just go to Lawson's. Yeah, I know. I that's a good point, Liza. I will stop at a Lawson's tomorrow when I'm driving to the mall. Um, we're going somewhere far away, so we'll pass a bunch of Lawsons. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can just get her some regular stuff like some stationary items, but she had some stuff that she wanted. Oh, Ahmed, yeah, I love, working in a comic book store, as I was just telling you about. We used to get all these fancy schmancy, like, anime, manga type of, like, who's it? Ghost in the Shell is Shiro, Shirow, which can't be right because that's not a Japanese name, but maybe, it's the name he decided to go by or something. But anyway, yeah, like his like art book, like his sketches and how they got colored, and I'm an amazing artist. And Ghost in the Shell is very very good. The very first one, which God had to have come out 20 years ago now. That's going back to like my era with Akira and some of the other ones that I saw early on. 7 million people in Switzerland from east to west. It takes about 3.5 hours by train or car. Okay, well, that's pretty good. And you've got like Isn't this like one of the Jeopardy questions? Like, which country doesn't border Switzerland? Isn't there? Don't you have like 7 countries that touch Switzerland or something? So you have a ton of neighbors. How do you choose, Fred, when you're like in high school, like which language to study? Because I mean, there's a reason to know German, there's a reason to know Italian, there's a reason, you know what I mean? Like, or do they just say you're going to take this, this, and this, so you can talk to people other than Swiss people? So, Temiko, I don't know that I talked about this yet, but as I show you Godzilla, um, I bought, maybe I was just talking about it on Facebook. Um, I bought the first part of Attack on Titan, so the first 12 episodes, and I would get the DVD and show it to you, but it's in the other room, and I don't want to get up. And I got it on Blu-ray, which Blu-ray, America, and Japan share a region. And it came with the DVDs too, which often happens. I don't need the DVDs, but they send them as part of the package. So I bought it from America on Blu-ray, and I thought, this is so popular with my students, so popular in Japan, I will try to watch this. And I'd heard good things, like it's the Walking Dead of anime or something, and it's got, a lot of interesting layers to it. So I put the Blu-ray in, and unfortunately, the only way the Blu-ray would work is if you watched it in English, so meaning dubbed. There was no Japanese, there was no English subtitles, there was no Japanese language track or whatever. And I put the DVD into my computer because that's region coded, and everything was possible. But I'd have to watch it on my tiny little 13-inch laptop screen, which is the whole reason I didn't want to do that. So I bought the Blu-rays. So I actually emailed the company that makes the discs, Funimation or something they're called. And I said, look, I'm an American, but I live in Japan, so I bought the American Blu-ray from Amazon and had it shipped to Japan, and when I put it in my Japanese player, there's no setup, button. There's no way for me to change the language or change the subtitles. And she emailed me back and said, yes, we do that on purpose. It's a copyright thing to keep people out of North America from viewing the product, blah, 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 blah. So it's something they do, the the Blu-ray player knows that it's in Japan, and it won't work. Unless I wanted to watch it dubbed, which I hate watching anime dubbed. So I'm going to bring it back to America, and I could watch the DVDs on my sister's, I'll be staying with my sister on my sister's big screen and stuff. She doesn't have a Blu-ray player. And then, give the Blu-ray away or something to a friend, or, I don't know, give it away as a prize on Myargonauts or something. But, yeah, it was disappointing. So I wanted to watch it, and I tried, but I haven't been able to yet. And I don't know. I mean, I did watch like 15 minutes of the DVD when I first put it in, and I saw the very opening of the pilot episode. And so now I understand kind of at least what it's a little bit about. I had no clue before. I don't know that I'll love it. It didn't grab me right at the beginning, but when I very first watched it, I was watching it dubbed, and the guy that they got to dub the lead boy's voice was just so grating. I could never do it. Anyway, so yeah, I will try to watch. Okay, sorry, now I'm getting behind. There are 4 languages officially spoken in Switzerland, and 5 of them. Wow, or all. So Temiko, to answer your question, from most people would tell you yes, it is worth the hype. But I would try a little of it before I would invest in, say, a whole box set of a lot of them. Oh, yeah, Chris, I totally want to see Gotham. I'm really hoping it'll be on iTunes TV so I can watch it, as it goes here in Japan. It'll just be like right as I'm about to leave America, all the fall shows will start coming on. So I'm going to just see endless, like when I'm watching football on the weekends, I'm just going to see endless promos for all the new shows. I'm like, oh, I want to watch that. I want to watch that. I want to watch that. And of course, none of them will be here in Japan, but hopefully some of them will be on, iTunes or something so I can see them. No, it's never too late to ask about getting an MA in Tessel. I'm gonna turn off my aircon. I really want to eat this thing, but I don't know if I should chew while I'm talking. Maybe I can eat smaller bites. Um, well, why do you want to get an MA in Tessel? What is this going to help you accomplish? And to my opinion, once you've got your bachelor's degree, you should only pay money to get these higher degrees if it's going to further your career aspirations or allow you to apply to something else. So that's my first question: is what will this MA in Tesla allow you to do, or why do you need it? Oh, now I'm getting way ahead. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the main reason I haven't gotten my master's in the 4 years I've been at the uni. I haven't necessarily gotten pressure, but I think they would like it if I had a master's. I still wouldn't be a full professor yet because there hasn't been an open slot. I would have to wait till somebody either leaves the university to go somewhere else and or retires somewhere in the English department before I could get the next. I would be next in line, as it were. Um, and so I haven't really had a fire in my belly to do it because I know I'm just sort of getting out of like all my accumulated life debt. I'm literally going to be like 100% debt free in about 8 months for the first time in my life, literally as an adult. And it's going to be a wonderful feeling. And I just don't know, like, if I want to just go boom, right back to debt. So I don't know. I have to really think about it. Austria, Liechtenstein, Germany, France, and Italy have borders with. Okay, so 5 countries. Yeah. All right. In Liechtenstein, they speak French. Austria, they speak German, right? France, Italy, and Germany, they obviously speak those 3 languages. So, GITS. Okay, what is GITS? What is that an initialism for, Nicholas? I don't think there is anything that is bad. I've seen just about all of it. I know GOT is Game of Thrones. I don't know what GITS is. Oh, Ghost in the Shell. Okay. I see. It takes me a minute. I'm 45. Give me a minute. I got it. I got it. Yeah, I mean, if the same guy who did the original one has continued to be the creator and producer and main creative force of all these subsequent ones, Masume Shiro, I think is his name. I can't see why the quality would have gone down. They're very, very good. Yeah. Yay, London. I want to go to London. I don't want to live in London. So Chris Gambate with that. That's kind of like I don't want to live in Tokyo. But I haven't been to England since 2003. So, yeah, I need to go to England to visit the relatives. Have some Yorkshire pudding. What else do I like? Oh, Knickerbocker Glory. That's nice. 99 Flake is always nice. I mean, how can you argue with a 99 Flake? Beautiful that is. I don't know. What else do I really like? I mean, my mom just used to make roast beef, Yorkshire pudding, roast potatoes. Beautiful, lovely, love it. So yeah, I need to go. See you on your Sumo channel, Super Dungeon Boy. Okay, bye. He's probably already left. And romantic. Interesting. R Dust asked, watched Kill La Kill. Kill La Kill. I don't know what that is. Please tell me more. Is it a movie? I'd be interested to know what it is. German is your mother tongue. Then you have to learn French and English. Okay. But you also know Italian and some Japanese. Yeah, I would think, Fred, you're Japanese just from watching all these shows that you watch, dude. It's probably not bad. Um, yeah, it was always like, growing up, I still love tennis, but I used to love to watch Wimbledon and, the U.S. Open and stuff. And you would see these tennis stars come on, and I was always so impressed because, they were from Switzerland or they were from, Germany or wherever Becker and Steffi Graf and all these people, and they could speak, English, they could speak their own language. If they went to the French Open, they could speak French, and it was just like, damn, like America is just like so America centric, and there's definitely, I think, an advantage to living in Europe. Yeah, that whole VPN thing, I haven't really looked into that. I need to, but and then I would have to subscribe to Netflix. Yeah, I might have to do that, but I haven't so far, Ahmed. I want to eventually make teaching English as a second language as a career and not just be a regular Eikaiwa teacher. Okay. I mean, certainly if you get a master's degree, Chewy, um, you can get higher paying work. You can, work at universities. You can, potentially, maybe manage a language school as opposed to just be a worker, because they would be impressed, obviously, with your masters, etc. Um, I really don't know that you need it to start when you first get here. Um, it it won't really make you that much more prepared for the types of classes you're going to get at a language school. Um, what else should I say? Um, but yeah, I mean, and if you want to go back to your own country, perhaps, um, and teach English as a second language to whatever peoples that immigrate to your country that don't speak English, then it could be a valuable thing to have. Um, hmm. But if your goal is to come over here and work for a while in the Eikaiwa industry to get your feet wet and to, see what it's like and blah blah blah, and then while here apply to Japanese universities, and your goal is to work at a Japanese university, then yeah, the masters would be very handy, almost necessary for a lot of things, for a lot of applications. La 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 la. Oh, Liechtenstein is also German. Okay, well, that tells you what I know. It does have the word Stein in the title, so maybe that's a hint right there. Okay. Chris won't be living in London. Yeah, I had a lot of relatives in I don't know if it's really out considered outside of London. Am I Bracknell and Reading, and then um, my cousin Colin, who worked at a bank, he lived in, oh, I'm gonna forget. Saint, no. Anyway, he lived the closest. But my parents were actually born in London. My dad was born near Wimbledon, not Wimbledon, Wembley Stadium, and my mom was born in Middlesex or something. So yeah, they're both Londoners basically. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, well, if your BA is not from an American university, but it's an accredited university, I would think it would be okay. Wow, you've been here 12 times, Fred? That's amazing. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, honestly, I started to learn Japanese in about 1991. I took a junior college class in Japanese for like a semester, and I had I had stopped going to UCSD full time and thought about going back and took a few classes, and then again work and stuff got in the way, and I stopped going again. But I did take Japanese, and I have a book actually that I bought in 1991 or 1992 about teaching English in Asia, and the JET program was just getting started, and etc. And all this, because it was like kind of just after the bubble, and um, the opportunity to go and blah blah blah. And I was really interested, and then I didn't pursue it again for almost 10 years. Steffi Graf is German. Yeah, yeah. Temiko, oh, you're hoping to get into JET. All right, well, good luck. If you have JET questions, feel free. Ah, Lysander, good luck, man. Third time's a charm, right? Let's hope it's true. Jason, have you heard of people teaching French? Not in my area. Yeah, there just wouldn't be. I don't think. I mean, at this public school, certainly not. I don't think there is. I don't think they can take French. Um, they might though. There might be some high schools that offer French. Um, and then as far as like a language school, hmm, it's just too rural and too few people. Um, it would have to be. I would think it would have to be a city of at least 1 million people. So you're talking like Nagoya, you know, Hiroshima, Fukuoka, and then on up to the bigger ones like Osaka and Kyoto and Tokyo and Yokohama and stuff. Um, yeah, yeah. I've never been on Fujisan and never traveled to Hokkaido. Matsue, yeah. Well, I'll give you give the endorsement to Matsue and Izumo, of course, Izumo Taisha. Problem with Shimane is just such off the beaten path. You really have to want to go there. It's not on the way to anything, or like you can sort of incorporate it into a trip if you're going to Hiroshima and Fukuoka, but it's hours out of the way, and you pretty much have to then spend the night, because the limited train times and stuff, and but yeah, uh, I don't have really. I want to go and see Fuji, Mount Fuji sometime. I have no desire to climb it, just because I'm fat and lazy. Um, I don't have a whole lot of desire to go to Hokkaido either. I'm not a huge snow person, so I would go if I had some friends that wanted to go in like February to the snow festival. But for me, like right now with my job, that's like right when like final exams are happening and stuff at the end of fall semester. So it's just I almost like last year some people were going that were jets, and I'm not a jet anymore, so I was like, oh, I can't go this weekend, guys. I have to be around school and stuff, and but yeah, someday that would be fun to see. I would guess I would just tough it out for a few days, the cold. Rather than applying to JET, would you recommend searching for a teaching job independently? Gaijin D asks. Well, no. I mean, I think I've said it a bunch of times in my videos. I think if you want to do an ALT job, Gaijin D, I think JET's the best option. JET's also very competitive, um, but the benefits once you get it, I think, outweigh all the other options. Interact and other, dispatch companies and Akai will work. So Jet is the best, um, but it's also the hardest to get into, which kind of makes sense. So, and if you want to go, you know, some other time other than, next summer, which you almost have to start doing the application like now because it's going to be due in like November. Um, it's the kind of thing where you can apply to these other companies, and you can come over to Japan sooner, I guess is what I'm saying. Um, I just found this cute uh, online comic strip made by a girl named Mary, and she draws this little 4-panel strip about her life as an ALT, and reading on her Tumblr about. I put the link on my Facebook about a week ago, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about. Um, she's an Interact ALT and has mostly good things to say about it. So, you know, there are other ways. If you don't get into JET and you still want to come, I think then you can say, okay, I tried JET, I didn't get in. What other ways can I go to Japan? Then you can look into some of those other ones. But I would try JET at least once, just to see if you can get in. So that's my advice. 64 asks about teaching Spanish. Um, yeah, I mean, again, in some of the big cities, sure. You're going to find enough, maybe there'd be 10 people that want to take, 5 people per class, twice a week or something that would want to study Spanish. But in a lot of areas of Japan, you wouldn't find enough interest. So, when you're talking about teaching, you're talking about, okay, I need to make a living teaching a class, and maybe I get paid per class. So I need 20 classes, let's say, in a week, times X amount per class to make my living. And you can't, I don't think you're going to find many schools that need you 20 times a week to teach Spanish. You know what I mean? You could maybe find some private clients that want you one-on-one, so maybe they'll pay double, the going rate. So you can say, okay, well, that one class is the same as 2 regular classes, et cetera, et cetera. But, you've got to think of it that way. It's just not, English is the thing. If you can do both, then certainly I think you could probably, maybe teach 15 English classes and 5 Spanish classes or something. And that would be, a benefit for you on your resume. Well, I can teach English, but of course I can also teach Spanish. So Lysander, yeah, I mean, I think that's the difference. You've got to say, okay, from last year to this year, what changed? Why should JET take you now when we didn't take you before? I guess I would ask you, Lysander, if you don't mind saying, um, did you, in your 2 previous attempts, get to the interview stage, or were you always told no at the application stage? Um, Oh, Liza. Yeah, I mean Tokyo. It's not that it's not my favorite spot. It's just really expensive to get to, and it's just super crowded. But I love Tokyo. I mean, the times that I've been there, there's so much to do. I mean, definitely go to Ueno. There's a great market in Ueno. There's a zoo in Ueno. I stayed. My hotel was near Ueno. Ueno Station is amazing. It has like a Hard Rock Cafe in it and stuff. Um, go to I'm gonna say the names of these places wrong. I think it's Akasuka. It's the one with the big red lanterns and the lightning gods right at the beginning, and then you go through and there's the pagoda, the 5-story pagoda, and then there's just a whole row of like shops and everything on your way as you walk up toward the pagoda. That's awesome. What else? For me, when I went to the John Lennon Museum, which Yoko Ono opened, but I think it closed a couple years ago, so you'd have to check online. That was a great day for me as a Beatles fan. Um, what else? I want to go to Tokyo Disneyland still. I don't know if I'd go right now, though. It'd be so crowded. Um, Actually, if you went like Tuesday or Wednesday this upcoming week, it probably wouldn't be horrible, but it's still going to be pretty damn crowded because the kids are still mostly on summer vacation. Um, and you wouldn't want to go there when it's raining. What else? Um, the park. I mean, there's obviously all the stuff, in downtown, like the big crossing and Shibuya and Shinjuku and near Harajuku there's a big park. Um, I'm trying to think what's the name of the shrine that's right there. Is it Grand Mie Shrine? I can't think of it. But it's beautiful. It's just like this oasis of green and nature right in the middle of Tokyo. Um, yeah, there's so much to do. Just I don't know how many days you're going for, but you'll have tons to see and do, I'm sure, and the food and the shopping and the this and that. Yep, Roger Federer, big Swiss guy. Fred, I'm younger than you are. Oh, okay. I have a master's in science of language and French. Yeah, unfortunately, that master's wouldn't help you get employed in a Japanese university teaching English. But if you found a university that teaches French, and enough of the students sign up for French every semester. Obviously, at a university, you don't have to teach 20 times a week. I mean, I only have 5 classes a week at my university, and I get paid very well. Um, it's a totally different situation at a university level. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think we have a Russian guy who teaches the Russian classes. We have 2 Koreans, a Korean professor woman and Korean professor man who teach all the Korean classes, and we have I think our Chinese classes. One is taught by a native Chinese person, and the other one is taught by a Japanese person who spent time in China. Um, and then we have all the English classes and stuff. Now this is my university, so if you had a university that if you could find a university that speaks that teaches French to its students, then yeah. Oh, Thwak. In Fukuoka. There's an amazing little burger restaurant. Oh, am I gonna remember the name of it? Ah, damn. I wish I could. I wish I could tell you the name of it. If you go on Twitter, here, I'll leave a comment here, and you go to at my 2yen, and that guy's name is Brian, and he lives in Fukuoka, and he just say, Jason told me you know the name of a great hamburger restaurant in Fukuoka. What is it? And he'll Twitter you back, and tell you. And it's this guy the guy who runs the place and cooks the burgers. Spent a bunch of time in America. He speaks really good English. Um, eh, Even though he won't speak English to you right off the bat. Um, until you start to have a hard time with Japanese, and then he'll be like, "Dude, I speak English. What do you need?" Uh, and anyway, it literally seats like 7 people maximum, but the burgers are amazing. The fries are good. Um, you can get a double, you can get a beer, you can get a soda. Totally worth it for a great cheeseburger one night. But I totally forget the name of it. La 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 la. Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff in Tokyo. All right. Maud Bacon, hello. Gaijin D, you're welcome. Yeah, her little comics are really cute. I mean, she has a real fun art style, and she has some really cute, little insights, and she's kind of a nerd. She's kind of an otaku a little bit, and so some of it goes over my head a little bit because I don't know a lot about anime and some of the references, but all the stuff about teaching, of course, I remember. And yeah, it's just really to have that kind of ability to draw and stuff like that is so helpful if you're an ALT, especially if you teach elementary school kids. I think I've mentioned it before, but I kind of like went on YouTube literally when I was in teaching elementary school, and just how to draw SpongeBob, and type that into YouTube and found like tutorials, and would just sit there and I taught myself to draw like Piglet and Batman and Snoopy and Mickey Mouse and SpongeBob, and I didn't want to go outside and run around a lot at recess, so I'd be like, "Oh, well, here, give me your notebook," and I would say to the kids who they'd come up and Jason, come play with us. I'd be like, "Well, here, give me your notebook," and I would start to draw. And as soon as you start drawing for one kid, and another kid sees it, they're like, "Oh!" And then they run and they get their notebook and they're like, "Oh, draw for me, draw for me," blah, blah. And then it got to be so like popular that the kids would like show other kids, "Look what Jason did for me." Like I'd go back 2 weeks later and I'd have kids like not lining up, but literally like, "Will you do SpongeBob for me?" Like, "Will you draw Snoopy?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, okay." And then, somebody could be like, I want Spider-Man. Can you do Spider-Man?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I can do Spider-Man." And, I would try sometimes. But, and then they'd ask me for like, Doraemon or something. I'd be like, "I can't do Doraemon. You do Doraemon. You draw it for me." And then they'd have fun drawing it for me. Because, I didn't know Japanese characters. But so I taught myself to do that so I could just have something to interact with the kids that wasn't like running around the field and throwing a ball. And it worked out for me pretty well because it's not that hard once you learn some easy things. You can teach yourself to draw, 3 or 4 characters that'll get you through. So I recommend that if you're going to be an elementary school teacher. Nice Jim Lee Batman poster, thank you. Yes, Jim Lee is one of my all-time favorite artists. As I mentioned before, probably half an hour ago now or more, I used to work at a comic book store, and the comic book store was in San Diego, and San Diego is the home of Wildstorm Entertainment, Jim Lee's company, where, when they were doing Image, they made Gen 13 and they made Wildcats, and then, of course, he went in with DC, and he still maintains a studio in San Diego, although he might have moved to LA by now because DC's moving to LA. I don't know if you guys know that. They're moving out of New York. Um, anyway, so he used to come down to my comic book store in Mira Mesa in San Diego on comic book day or the next day, because usually comic book day had so many comic book nerds, he didn't want to come in and, have everybody besiege him for an autograph. And just shop around. Hey, what's selling this week? And we chat about whatever. And I was the manager, so super nice guy, just super nice guy. Still, if I see him at comic book conventions now, he remembers me, and we'll chat and stuff. And I just think his art is amazing. Oh, I'm actually staying in Asakusa. Good, good. Yeah. I am not yet to get to the interview stage. I think the first time my statement of purpose was a little lackluster, and the last year my references were very generic. Okay. Well, Lysander, that's really good that you're able to kind of objectively look at your materials and say, okay, well, this was probably not good, or this could have been the reason. So many people, when they've asked me for advice or something, like, I just can't understand it. Why didn't? But it's good that you feel like you know what maybe needs work. And yeah, I mean, those letters of references are important. Um, the 2-page statement of purpose is really important. So yeah, spend some time, make them really good this time, and best of luck to you, my friend. Yeah, I don't know. I came back and I hadn't heard about the uni job yet, and I think I wanted to go back, and I thought, you know what? Just to go back to Japan, if they have a good place, like a good kind of urban placement, I'd actually do Interact for a year or two. And I think I applied to Interact and sent it all in because you do it all on the internet, right? And I never even got an interview. So there you go. You just never know who they're looking for or what they want. Mine's probably though, either they went, okay, he was a jet for 5 years, he's going to be a pain in the ass because he's going to be a know-it-all, and or they said he's 40. I was 40 when I finished jet, so he's too old. Um, so there you go. I just read in the paper today. I think it was today. Let me see. Yes, the Panama Canal, which is an amazing feat of engineering, is 100 years old this year. 1914. Think about what life was like in 1914. And they dug this tunnel. It's not a tunnel, but a canal, through a country so we could go from one ocean to the other ocean easy. Amazing. Amazing. Um, do you now someone or know someone that will have September sumo tournament? Oh, you mean do I know a place? Yeah. I will make Naruto, I will make a video either a day before or the first day of the September tournament and put it up on my normal channel, my sumo channel. And I will explain again to people that don't know that I'm in America, that I won't be having daily coverage. Here are some places you can go. And I will put up links to other channels where you can go and watch sumo that I will use as well to watch the daily recaps, etc. So I don't know the names of the channels, but if you go to my main page, my All Sumo channel, I think they're on the side. It's like recommended channels or other channels Jason likes or something, and there's a list, and there's 3 or 4, and all of them are good. Um, and the names are just escaping my brain. But I will definitely have links in September when I make that first video of other places where you can watch sumo. So yeah, don't worry. In your opinion, what are my chances of landing a job as an English teacher in ANT? Well, Ahmed, I know nothing about you, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Um, so I have no idea what your other skill sets are, and um, you know, yeah, you're not a native English speaker. Um, that's tough. Um, convincing people, that your English is just as valid as anybody else's English, which it is nowadays. Um, I think you would almost have to come here on like a tourist visa and meet people face to face. Although Skype interview might be okay, where they could hear your accent and hear your English. Um, because on paper you could be dismissed sometimes, maybe because you're not a native speaker. Um, I've had interviews in America, with, like, we had a Chinese American guy one time, who was trying to be a CIR, which is a different category in JET, and his Japanese was great. His he could speak Chinese, but his English wasn't very good. And it wasn't that he probably could read and write it very well, but when he spoke, it was hard to understand him. And we gave him a pass. Uh, you know, it's he probably could have done the job well, in the sense that one of his main responsibilities would have been using Japanese and probably speaking Japanese. But you're also representing America, and if you're going to be an ALT from JET, and kind of, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. So it just depends. It's hard to say. Um, if you're here, though, especially when you look at some of those ads, like, we need someone to start, like in a month, and maybe a school that really needs someone, they had someone drop out or something like that. They take you and they give you a chance, and then once you get that first chance, and if it's a good reference and you enjoy it, you either stay there or you decide to move on, and you know you then have experience, and yada yada yada, and it snowballs. So, all right, we got about 20 minutes left. See if anybody else has anything to say. 31 people watching. 25 thumbs up. You all are very nice. Thank you. Uh, yeah, Skype would be good, so they could have a chance and you could, sort of plead your case a little bit. All right. Wow, am I actually caught up? Oh no, I missed some stuff. Hold on. I missed Freshness Burger. How did I miss all this stuff? Yeah, Freshness Burger is not the name of the place that I was recommending. This was like a one. It's not a chain. It's like a one-off, hole in the wall. And me and my Japanese friend, Brian, my 2 yen, recommended it, but he didn't go with us that night. But we found it, using our iPhone and Google Maps. We had a taxi take us out, and then it's like down an alley, and like you take a left, and there's a bunch of tiny little restaurants all clustered together, and this was one of them. Yeah, Canal City is awesome. All right, Lisa, see you. Yes, the whiteboard and blackboard are your friends. All right, getting caught up. Nikicolas. Nisio Hollis. Hello from a new viewer. I just finished writing my personal statement. Your advice really helped me. Good. I hope it's very good. Personal statement is, I often in the past have offered my services to like people to like read theirs and give advice. I haven't done it so much in the past few years because I've been kind of busy in September and October. But I've read a lot of them in my time. I've probably read 100 Jet Statement of Purposes, and sometimes it's surprising how bad they are. And this is how you're really putting yourself out there to get to that interview. And it really needs to be sharp and good and on the mark, and say what you need it to say without, going on for 2 pages about nothing. So, yeah. Fred, are you talking about out here in Japan? Where would I recommend you visit? You've been here 12 times, dude. You've probably been to more of Japan than I have. Um, oh man, I don't know. I mean, yeah, come to Shimane if you've never been out here. I mean, um, you've got a big lighthouse in Hinomasaki. You've got Izumo Taisha. Those two things are probably about one day. You've got Matsue, which is one day. You've got the castle and the moat to the little river boat ride and some other stuff out there, Lake Shinji. You've got the Iwami Ginzan Silver Mine, which is a World Heritage Site now. So I think you could spend 3 days out in Shimane, and you know, and then from there, I'm sure you've already been to Hiroshima. Have you ever been to Nagasaki? You could go from Shimane down the coast through Fukuoka to Nagasaki. My guess is you've been to Fukuoka, but if you haven't, I would say that would be a great trip. Just Shimane, Fukuoka, Nagasaki. I mean, that would easily be a good week right there. Um, so, question from Nikolailis. The flight that is provided to you, how flexible are they paying for your own upgrade specific seat? I'm 6'6", so regular chairs on planes are awful for me. Yeah, believe me, I know about bad flights. I don't think they would allow you to spend your own money, but given that you're 6'6", um, I think they would allow you. They would try to find you the best seat they could. And my guess is if you're not also fat like me, that would mean the bulkhead seat. Um, so you're, where you've got no row in front of you, so you can stretch out your legs. But for me, because I'm 6 foot and that's fairly tall, that seat, unfortunately, there's no seat in front of you. So if they have a video screen or something, they put it into your like chair and it folds out and kind of like sits in front of you, right? So that puts extra like bulk, like it takes centimeters away from the width of the seat. So it's like my hips are even more crushed, even though I've got lots of leg room. So it's like, because they have to have extra room to like put your tray table where you're going to eat your meal, and stuff like that. So it's like a catch 22. But they would probably put you in that chair. or that seat rather, and at least let you have leg room. If you're talking about like wanting to like say, okay, you're going to pay, $1,200 for me to fly economy, I'll pay an extra 800 and go, I want to fly first class so I can have a big chair. I don't know. You would just have to talk to your jet liaison. I'm sure they would work with you. But to be honest, dude, it's like I don't know where you live, so it's hard to say. But I mean, it's like 10 hours, 11 hours. I mean, unless well, I guess if you're in the UK, it could be longer. I mean, it can be uncomfortable, and I understand that, etc. But like, you can endure it. You can put up with it for a free flight. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't last forever. You can walk around the cabin a lot, go to the bathroom a lot, stand by your seat for a bunch of it, when they turn the lights out and everybody's sleeping. Believe me, I've done all the tricks. So, can you apply for a permanent resident visa? I think I could. I think after I've been here about another year, if the break I took in the middle doesn't matter, and they just say 5 years and 5 years is 10 years, I think I could apply, but I don't have any real reason to. I'm not married or anything. Um, and I still don't think I'll live here forever. I still think I'll probably go back to America at some point. Um, but I don't know. Yeah. I haven't really looked at it and go, okay, what are the pros and cons of doing this? So I think I would need to do that research and know why would I want to do that. Oh, wow. Now I got all kinds of comments. Okay, here we go. 15 minutes or so. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's great that they did that. Jet's so guarded about some of its stuff. I'm surprised there's a website like that out there that has statement of purposes. I guess if people are willing to put their own up there, what can Jet really do? But I know they've always, don't talk about the interview, on YouTube and whatnot and stuff like that. They always try to be so secretive. Ah, you've never been to Shimane. Well, I mean, Fred, that I'm pimping it because I love it, and it's where I used to live for 5 years. So I think it's lovely. If you go at the right time of year, it really is quite nice. And I think the historical sites are very interesting and worth seeing. And like I said, if you can fold it into, seeing some other places, if you want to come and do sort of southwestern Honshu slash, maybe Kyushu, um, yeah, I think it's worth the time. I mean, if you've hit the other big parts, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you only have 10 days in Japan, there are certain things you have to see. I mean, that don't include Shimane. So, but and it's more authentic Japan, etc., etc. All right, let me see. Blah blah blah. There's not a castle where I live, but there is a big castle in the capital of Shimane called Matsue, and it's actually one of the few that's like original wooden. It didn't get rebuilt, etc. So it's from castle aficionados. I've heard that it's actually a pretty good one. The best castle I've ever been to in Japan was Himeji, which is in Hyogo-ken near Kobe. But yeah, Matsue Castle's pretty cool. Sean, you definitely can come here with very little Japanese and be able to speak and be able to, I'm sorry, teach English. Um, it's not a requirement to be an Interact or a Jet. You're going to always be team teaching. So that means you're going to be teaching with a Japanese teacher in the room with you. So theoretically, you're only supposed to really speak English. And the Japanese teacher is supposed to tell the kids, open your books, or, okay, repeat after her, or, she's supposed to give the instructions in Japanese, and then you're supposed to do the English parts. And they're supposed to model their English after your spoken English, etc., because you're a native speaker. And that's the whole reason you're there. So, it really isn't until you get to maybe high school where the kids have more difficult questions because they're asking you, like, why is this grammar, why can you be full of crap but not full of shit? Or, something, they'll ask you, like, idioms and, like, well, if you use the predicate nominative here, is going as opposed to went, does that mean that it's past tense in the subjunctive case? And you'll be like, whoa. So, and sometimes it helps to be able to speak Japanese a little bit, to just know the parts of speech in Japanese when you're talking to, say, like my university students. Okay, well, that's keiyoshi, that's an adjective, or that's, whatever, that's a noun, or, and use some of the Japanese. It just cuts through quicker, you know what I'm talking about? But even at the university level, if I didn't speak much Japanese in class, that wouldn't be a negative. In my life and working alongside Japanese people, in the office where I work, the media center staff and the other people that are, that are teachers that aren't, native speakers, it's a negative. So you want to learn Japanese for sure, but it's not necessary for the job. All right, let's see, what else did I miss here? La, 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 la. Oh, so you've been to Fukuoka and Nagasaki. Okay, well, yeah, I don't know what else. I mean, Totori, which is above Shimane, has the sand dunes. If it was the right time of year, I've heard those are very nice and interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know what's in Okayama. Hiroshima has, obviously, Hiroshima, the city itself, and then they have the it's Itsukushima, or I can't remember the name of the island with the floating torii. Where the water goes out and it looks like the torii is floating in water. Miyajima, I think is called. What else? Yeah, Yamaguchi has some interesting things. They have that one submarine thing. Like, you can go to the place where they built all those mini subs where, like, one person would get in it. And, like, I think they used them in Pearl Harbor. Like, they were these, like, one-man subs, and it's supposedly pretty interesting. Um, so, do you know of any jet couples? Yes, actually, tomorrow I am going with a dude named Kevin. They just moved into my area. His wife is Kristen, or his fiance. He told me yesterday. I called her his wife, and he said, "Oh, actually, we're not married yet." Um, and they just moved here, and she is a jet, and he is not. Two of my best friends, Chris and Susie. Chris was a jet, and Susie was not. They were here. I've known a lot of married couples that have been jets. There's not many. Um, if you have 80 jets in your prefecture, maybe 3 or 4 of them will be married. So there's not many, but yeah, you'll always meet one or two. Yeah, the only thing about that, Gaijin, is that generally, if you become an ALT through the JET program, the school you're given your very first year is the school that you'll have the entire time. You generally don't change unless somebody leaves or you get added schools, or, I mean, it can happen, but if you're a junior high / elementary school ALT, you're not going to all of a sudden become a high school ALT later on. That very rarely happens. You generally stick with the same job the whole time, whether it be 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. Um, it can happen, but there's just not that much flexibility, and you're actually employed by sort of different uh, sub-employers, if you will. If you're a high school ALT, you're sort of hired by that school and by the prefecture, um, and your supervisor is at that school, etc. If you're hired by a junior high school, um, you're hired by the Board of Education of the town where you're living. So, it's slightly different. And so, yeah, there's not a whole lot of ability to move in between. Not to say that you couldn't quit being a jet after, say, 2 or 3 years and then get a job with a private high school or with Interact and ask to be put in a high school, or, I mean, I've taught at elementary, junior high, and now university levels, so you can have some flexibility, but you can't jump around in jet. You can't move to a different city. The city you get placed in your first year is where you'll stay the whole time, etc. So from England, you went to Japan via Qatar Airways. Two 10-hour flights. Yeah, that's brutal, man. Mine is like an hour and a half from Hiroshima to Tokyo, and then Tokyo to LA, which is, one way is about 11 hours. Coming back, I think it's about an hour longer. It's 12. And then, like a little hour flight from LA to San Diego. So I take 3 planes, plus, 2-hour bus to get to Hiroshima and an hour shuttle to get from Hiroshima Station to Hiroshima Airport. And, it's a long day of travel when I go home to America. So I know what it's like. But yeah, two 10-hour flights. Yeah, that's rough, man. Um, I don't know. You'd have to just go on one of the message boards and say UK Jets. What airline did they fly you from England to? What airline did they fly you to orientation? And blah blah blah. And was anybody able to sit somewhere else and just ask around if it's ever been done? I absolutely love these live shows. Love the stash. Yes, thank you. It's going away tomorrow. You're privileged. The 1-day mustache. You guys, the only people that got to see it. And this weird. It's not even like it's sort of like a zit. I don't know what it is. It's right there on my nose. It's beautifully located. Um, After becoming a Jet 1 to 5 years, how often, it at all, can you return home for visiting? Um, well, once you're in the Jet program, it's a 1-year contract. So you um, you generally arrive in late July, early August, and you're contracted through the next, say, August 1st. During that time, most Jets get either 15 or 20 days of paid vacation. Now, that's on top of any national holidays where there's no school. Um, that doesn't mean, though, that during spring break and summer vacation, when there is no class, that you're automatically off. But those are the easiest times to take breaks. So it's very easy to take a break and go back to your home country in March and in August. Those are the two easiest times. You can also, you get 2 weeks of vacation, not paid, but 2 weeks of vacation in, well, it is paid. So, I mean, you're getting your paycheck, but you're expected to go, other than, say, January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, you're expected to go to the BOE and check in or be studying Japanese or, we can get into all that. Um, but basically, there's 2 weeks in late December, early January where there's no school. But of course, if you try to travel during that time, and a lot of Jets do think, it's so important that I go home for Christmas. Oh my God, I can't miss Christmas. Um, which, try it one time, you won't die. Um, that they do, and it's exorbitantly expensive, not only within Japan, obviously just to get from place to place, because they know people are trying to get home for New Year's, which is the big thing in Japan. They don't care about Christmas, but to fly. It's like once you hit like December 18th, the airline rates just go way up. And but then you're working. You can't necessarily take off before then, unless you use some of your paid vacation and yada yada yada. So it's very easy. In my first year on Jet, I only went home once. I went home for about 2 weeks, which doesn't even seem long enough, really, during spring vacation. So I was home in March. Uh, I waited about 8 months. I'd been here about 8 months before I went back. And then um, I didn't go back again for a while. Almost a year and a half, I think, before I went home again. And then, like, my parents wanted me to go for Christmas one time. And so I said, okay, but you guys have to pay. Said, if you want me to come out and deal with all that, etc., I will do it. But you have to pay for the flight. And they said, okay. So literally, I'd gone home that summer, but for some reason, my mom really wanted me to come out for Christmas. So they bought me the plane ticket, and so I did it. And I went home for about 10 days, which barely seems like enough, and spent Christmas and New Year's one time in my 5 years as a jet in America. Every other Christmas, I was here um, in Shimane when I was a jet. So yeah, it's really not hard. It's just finances and just working out the time and stuff and talking to your schools and things like that. You get paid holidays, so if that's what you want to use them on, then yeah, go for it. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, wow, 24 days in Japan, Fred. That's amazing, dude. Yeah, there's so much you could see. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be down in the Chugoku region, maybe a lot, 3 or 4 days for Shimane. I'd be happy to meet you somewhere and show you around one day or something. Always like to spread the good vibes for Shimane because it's so underrated. What's the jet summer holiday like? Full month off or what? No, unfortunately. The kids are out of school, James, for about 5 weeks, from the last week of July and then all of August, and they basically go back that first week of September. But the summertime is an incredibly busy time for schools. A lot of the schools have big summer tournaments for the sports teams. So they're actively practicing and stuff every day at school. There's band concerts. And then about 2 weeks before school starts again, all the ninth graders will descend on the school and start to prepare for sports day generally. Now, this is, not every single school. Some schools have sports day in June, but a lot of schools have sports day in September. And so the kids start to prepare in late August, which means making the costumes and making the huge posters and preparing their dance and practicing their dance and you know so the school will be abuzz with activity, so you can go and participate in some of that. And the good thing about it is generally it's very lax. You don't have to get there at 8:10. You can get there at 9 or 9:30, and then hang out until 11:30, and then say, okay, I'm going to lunch, and then go home for an hour and a half, and sit in your aircon and have a sandwich or whatever, and then go back at say 1:30 or something, and then stay until like maybe 3:30 and go, okay, I'm going home now, and they would be fine with that, most of your schools. Um, and just, you clean your desk and you meet the new teachers, or, in summer, there's actually not any new teachers for the most part. That's in spring. You can, make a new English board in your hallway or study Japanese, or, sometimes you have to go to your board of education and sit there and, pretend that you're busy, and you can talk to other jets sometimes. So that's nice. But yeah, it can be kind of boring. You can take paid days off. And if you combine that with, like, they'll give you 3 Obon holidays that you can take anytime within the month of August only. They realize that you're not going to need them the same days that Japanese people do Obon, which is right now, in fact, it was just this past Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which is when Japanese people go and visit the graves of their ancestors. And it's a very important holiday in Japan. But they'll give you those 3 days um, in addition to your paid days off generally. So if you use those and say a couple, 2 of your paid days off, boom, there's a week off. And if you use like 7 of your days, 5 plus 2 plus the 3 Obon, there's 2 full weeks off. So that's easy, and you can just do whatever you want, hang out, go visit other jets, go visit other parts of Japan, go to Guam, go to Thailand, go to Korea, go back to your home country, I mean, and you've used 7 of your 20 paid days, and it's not hard to get a couple weeks off in August, and not lose any money. So that's the good thing. Yeah, we've had non-native English ALTs in Shimane. Sometimes there'll be a sister city relationship, like Izumo has a sister city relationship with a place in Finland. So we have a Finnish ALT every year. Sometimes the person will recontract, um, but sometimes it's a new person, and they generally stay a year or two. Um, there's sister city. We had a guy from Norway one time, who now is on a show on NHK called Cool Japan. His name was Olaf or Oli or something. Ole? I can't remember. Um, and so he moved to Tokyo after a year or two as a jet. We had a guy from Italy, Antonio, um, who was very good in English but not a native speaker. And so they can get in. Um, and sometimes it's they've emigrated to a country that's part of the JET program, so their visa, maybe they're now a UK citizen, but they're not from the UK, quote unquote. So there's loopholes. Okay, it's 103. I'm gonna wrap this up. Last questions coming in here. 36 of you have hung out. Coco Sports, love your sumo vids. Thanks, man. I love your retweets. If you're still watching, Coco, you have lots of followers on Twitter and you always retweet my stuff. I appreciate that so much. Not that I make any money on my sumo channel, but it's nice to have viewers. It's nice to have comments. It's nice to have feedback. You feel like you're not just talking, to yourself. And about 80 people, when I did that sumo t-shirt recently, bought one. So that was very nice. People supported me that way. So yeah, I feel a lot of love on that channel. I enjoy doing it. Last question, did you get a lot of reverse culture shock? Yeah, I had a hard time when I went back after 5 years as a jet, which is why I came back to Japan partially. Um, it didn't help that I was 40 years old. I went back to living with my parents, who were, 70 at that point. I didn't have a job. Um, it was a rough transition back, and it got better. And I think I would have been fine had I not got the uni job. I ended up getting a good job, which I left after 6 months to go back to Japan. But yeah, it can be rough. Um, it just depends what you've set in place. I really didn't think too much about what I would do when I went back, because I knew I could also go back to school, get my credential, and become a teacher. And so I was sort of in this nebulous, am I going to commit to doing that? Am I going to go through that process? Am I going to, do the application and go back to school? Or am I going to hold out hope that maybe I can go back to Japan? And I really felt like I wanted to come back. And so, yeah, it was just tough. The biggest part is that you don't want to be that guy. I don't know how many of you have watched The Big Bang Theory, but there's a character on The Big Bang Theory named Howard. And at one point in like season 4 or something, he gets to go up to the International Space Station. So he becomes an astronaut, even though he's the most unastronaut guy you've ever met, right? And after he gets back, everything he talks about is, yeah, the food in the cafeteria, yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, it's better than on the space station, though. Like every reference to everything and every conversation is about his time being an astronaut. He always wants to remind people, or he just wants to drop it into conversation. So you don't want to be that person when you get back from Japan that's like, oh yeah, Starbucks. Yeah, we don't have Starbucks where I was living in Japan. Or that's $1. Yeah, that'd be about 80 yen in Japan. So I guess that's a pretty good price. You don't want to just be constantly referencing Japan or talking about your experiences, because to be honest, your friends just don't care. Your parents and stuff, while they will feign interest, they can't relate unless they came and visited you and really know what your life was like. They just have. My sister has no frame of reference. She's never been to Japan, so when I go home, she she's like, how's work? And I'll tell her a little bit and stuff, but there's no point in me telling her about some other things because she just wouldn't understand. Whereas if she calls me, of course I can understand everything she's talking about because I live there, right? So you've got to get over that, trying to talk about your students and your experiences and stuff, and that's why it's good to either have a message board or have a YouTube channel or, have a JET Alumni Association or somewhere where you can go and talk to people that have done it because they are going to be like, oh yeah, I remember what that was like. And yeah, I mean, can you believe right now if we were back in Japan, we'd be getting ready for sports day. Oh yeah, you remember, but your friends aren't going to care and your life has had all these amazing things happen to it. Other people maybe they've done the same thing for 3 years. Yeah, I'm still working at Walmart. Yeah, still live with my mom. I mean, and so they're not gonna really want to be reminded about how much cool stuff you did. So it can be tough. It can be tough. Could I get a shout out? Nana Kim wants to know if you can get a shout out. Okay, Nana Kim, I said your name. Is that good? did I did I accomplish something? All right. Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get as good a customer service in America as you get in Japan. I've never pumped my own gas in Japan. I mean, certain things, yeah. I mean, other things, I mean, I like America. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I enjoy my time. I don't enjoy the traveling it takes to get back to America, but that's on me because I'm so overweight. It's just difficult for me because everything's tiny for a big guy like me. Um, I, Once I'm in America, I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy my time there. But after about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm like, I can go back. And by the fourth week, I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready to go. My life is here. My job is here. My day to day is here. Um, the only thing that's in America that really brings me back is my loved ones. So, you know. All right, man. I think that's about it. It's 1:09 a.m. I've been on for a good 2 hours. Thank you for coming by, watching, leaving comments. Appreciate the thumbs ups. And if you tweeted about it or told friends about it, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Probably won't do another one of these for a while because obviously, as we've talked about tonight, I'm going home to America. But we have a late question here. I'll try to get to that in a minute, Serenity. Um, but I will try to make some videos from America, etc. And obviously, if you're not on my Facebook or Twitter, those are places that I update all the time, regardless of whether I have a new video or not. So it's a good way to just stay in touch. And I hope you're having a good summer. And I'm about to eat a donut right before I go to bed. I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't. But it really looks delicious. I want to. Serenity says, hey, Jason, I'm a new teacher going to preschool in Sacramento, planning on going to Japan after I'm done with my BA. Any wise words for a newbie? Well, if you have your BA and you're about to get experience teaching, you'll be a very good applicant probably for the JET program. But just realize that when you go to Japan, you're going to be an assistant. I've had a lot of full teachers, what I call full teachers from America, go to Japan. It's really hard to not be in charge in the classroom like you were. It would almost be like that now for me. I mean, I'm completely in charge of my classes at my university. To go in and be like an assistant again would be difficult. It'd be like a step back. So, yeah, Attack on Titan merchandise. I'm meeting my friend, former student Takahiro. We're playing dice with buddies with each other, and he just doesn't understand like Yahtzee. So we're meeting for lunch tomorrow, and I'm gonna explain Yahtzee to him. I'm taking my iPad, and then he's gonna walk around the mall with me, I think, and I think I'm gonna make him ask in Japanese. I'm like, go ask for this. What is it? Shingeki no Kyojin? Something like that's how you say Attack on Titan in Japanese. I have to learn that. But anyway, um, so maybe I'll embarrass him. He's only like 24. He just graduated about a year ago. So he's much more in the demographic. He can go in and ask, do you have mono items for this anime? All right, thanks guys. Have a safe flight. Hopefully I will. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by, spending some time with me, and we'll see ya. Okay. I'm going to say I'm going away, but it takes me like a minute here to turn off everything. Peace. See ya.